Hi, PNW Key Clubbers. Welcome to the Running for Higher Office webinar. My name is Rachel Haugen, and I'm currently serving as your district editor.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Smith, and I'm currently serving as your district treasurer.
Hey, everyone. My name is Allison King, and I currently serve as your district secretary.
Greetings, PNW Key Clubbers. My name is Alice Lee, and I am currently serving as your district governor. Now that you have had the chance to meet your executive committee for the 2021 to 2022 service year, I will be moving on to the agenda for the evening. Tonight, we will cover all of the individual roles PNW Key Club has to offer at the district board level, including the position of lieutenant governor, the positions of the executive committee, and the duties they entail. We will also review the international board and the process of seeking higher office at district convention. Please stay until the very end, as there will be an opportunity to ask questions. I will start by highlighting the duties, expectations, and responsibilities of a lieutenant governor. Throughout this segment and the others, please write down any questions you may have so that we can address them later. The primary role of a lieutenant governor is to serve as a liaison between the district and the club level. While each division is different in terms of membership demographics and the number of clubs, the responsibilities of a lieutenant governor are the same regardless of the division they serve. A strong candidate for lieutenant governor will be prepared to work with the clubs in their division to create a noticeable impact in their community. They should be ready to analyze the way each club in their division functions to help identify resources that may assist them. Lieutenant governors represent their division, motivate clubs to excel in their positions, and organize various educational and service-related opportunities for their clubs. If you're looking to run for the position of lieutenant governor for the sole purpose of fulfilling a resume slot or gaining a public following, this position will not benefit you nor your division. Strong candidates for lieutenant governor are prepared to consistently work hard and think critically throughout their term. Next slide, please. The responsibilities of a lieutenant governor can be split into two parts, division and district responsibilities. We will start with divisional responsibilities. As a lieutenant governor, you will be responsible for serving a set of clubs in your division. Divisions can have between 2 and 14 clubs. However, most divisions typically have 6 to 9 clubs. Each divisional size has its own set of challenges and opportunities. Be prepared to serve the number of clubs in your division. As stated previously, your primary responsibility is to administratively support and grow the clubs in your division. This will include, but is not limited to, President's Council meetings, club visits, and regular communication with your officers. A President's Council meeting, also known as a PCM, is a monthly meeting that is held between the Lieutenant Governor and club presidents. During this meeting, the Lieutenant Governor provides updates from the international, district, and divisional levels, and may also facilitate discussion between the officers. PCMs can be held in person or online. Additionally, Lieutenant Governors must visit each club twice during their term, with their first round being completed by June 30th. As such, it is crucial that you have a schedule that allows you to complete such visits, some of which could be during the school day, and have a means of transportation to get to clubs. Lieutenant governors are also responsible for holding 3 divisional events during their term. The first is an officer training conference, which should be held in the spring or early fall. Next is the Lieutenant Governor election rally for your successor. This must be held by January 22nd, 2023. And lastly would be a divisional council meeting, also known as a DCM. A DCM is a meeting with the officers and members of your division to perform an act of service and/or discuss official business related to Key Club. Examples of the DCMs include a park cleanup, District Project 101, and more. Please note that you are only required to hold 1 DCM during your term. However, some lieutenant governors decide to hold them on a more regular basis. Nonetheless, DCMs do not satisfy the monthly PCM requirement. A lieutenant governor must also work closely with the Kiwanis family, which includes visiting all Kiwanis clubs in your division once and making an effort to attend all Kiwanis divisional council meetings. If you are unfamiliar with the Kiwanis family, you can find more information on the PNW Key Club website. Lastly, you will be responsible for achieving full and timely dues collection of both district and international dues for all clubs in your division. As for your district responsibilities, you'll be responsible for submitting a monthly divisional newsletter and report on your division by the 10th of each month. Lieutenant Governor's newsletters are distributed to members, officers, advisors, and Kiwanis clubs in your division. Additionally, Lieutenant Governors must attend all scheduled board meetings, including your winter board trainer, in addition to spring, summer, fall, and the following winter board, as well as district convention at the beginning and end of your term. Failure to attend any of these required functions will result in immediate dismissal from office. Therefore, if you already know you have a scheduling conflict with any of the required meeting dates in the Lieutenant Governor candidate packet, you should not be running for Lieutenant Governor. Lastly, you will be assigned to one district committee. District committees are the main way that we complete work as a district and advance towards completing our strategic plan. Typically, each committee meets 1 to 2 times a month, and you will have to complete work between meetings. This year, our standing committees include District Convention, District Project, Kiwanis Family Relations, Membership Growth and Reactivation, the Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund, and the position of Webmaster. However, the standing committees may differ next year depending on the appointments made by our next governor. On the screen are some screenshot examples from Division 32's newsletter. All newsletters are created through MailChimp, and training on how to create them is given during winter board. Please be prepared to spend a significant amount of time creating high-quality newsletters. Individuals who are successful in the role of Lieutenant Governor often share a few key characteristics. First, they typically are able to analyze issues within clubs. It is imperative that Lieutenant Governors understand and take action on issues affecting their clubs before viewing the division as a single entity. Without having a strong set of clubs, it's not possible to have effective DCMs, fundraisers, or communications. Additionally, the work that they do during their terms may not impact their division until the following year. The ability to be patient with creating sustainable plans is a skill that will benefit a future Lieutenant Governor. Second, they have strong communication skills. More often than not, the reason clubs do not communicate with their Lieutenant Governor is because they do not understand what assistance they can provide them. Additionally, it is important to work with advisors when planning projects or events. It is much easier to accomplish your goals as a Lieutenant Governor when you have the support of all the advisors in your position and your division. Third, time management skills are necessary for this position because Lieutenant Governors must complete all parts of their service agreement during their term. The service agreement is a minimal set of responsibilities that are necessary to have an effective term. They are not guidelines, nor are they optional responsibilities, because Lieutenant Governor cannot be successful in this position if they do not fulfill them. On that note, they should also avoid last-minute planning. In order for club visits, training opportunities, and events to be successful, the Lieutenant Governor must always be thoughtful and intentional. Lastly, as the leader of Key Club in their specific division, thinking creatively, especially when it comes to community service, will serve Lieutenant Governors well. By making connections with community leaders and organizations, Lieutenant Governors can introduce their division to new and unique service projects. Individuals who know their division well or are prepared to learn quickly will be well suited for this position. In addition, each Lieutenant Governor will have their own unique set of struggles and successes. Your ability to tailor support specifically to your division will be crucial to serving in this position. This concludes our segment on the responsibilities of a Lieutenant Governor. We will now be moving on to how to run for Lieutenant Governor. Similar to running for a district executive or international board position, the only requirement to run for Lieutenant Governor is that you must be a dues paid member in good standing from a club within your division. All information regarding how to run for Lieutenant Governor can be found in the Lieutenant Governor candidate packet, which will be mailed to all attendees. Please note that divisional election rallies are held on different dates, but all must be held prior to January 17th, 2022. All election rallies will be held in person this year. For more information about your division's election rally, please contact your presiding Lieutenant Governor. Candidates must be present at least 20 minutes prior to the start of the election rally. At this time, you must have the Lieutenant Governor's service agreement and candidacy forms submitted to your Lieutenant Governor via email. Both of these forms are included in the Lieutenant Governor candidate packet, which can be scanned or photocopied. To summarize the election process, the election will begin with the current Lieutenant Governor introducing each candidate and stating their home club. The current Lieutenant Governor will use a random number generator to determine the order in which the delegates will hear their speeches and ask questions. All candidates, except for the individual going first, will be instructed to leave the room, and each candidate will deliver their speech not to exceed 3 minutes. The election rally attendees will then have a chance to ask questions of the candidate, also not to exceed 3 minutes. If there are no questions from the audience, the Lieutenant Governor will ask you questions from the sample candidate background questions or knowledge questions, which can be found in the candidate packet. After the questioning period, the candidate will be instructed to leave the room while other candidates speak. Club delegates will have the opportunity to deliberate and cast their votes. Please keep in mind this is a summary of election procedures, and additional information can be found in the Lieutenant Governor candidate packet. As a candidate, you must also remember that you must adhere to a $0 campaign policy and may not visit any clubs with the intention of campaigning. Additionally, you may email an approved letter of intent to each club president in your division stating your decision to run for office. This letter must be approved by your Lieutenant Governor prior to you sending it, and you may also be endorsed by your club, meaning that your club agrees you are qualified to serve in the position and supports your candidacy. Please keep in mind that a letter of intent and endorsement is not required. This covers the procedures for running for Lieutenant Governor. Please save any questions you have until our open period for questioning at the end. I will now move on to more information about the Executive Committee. For the following segment, we will highlight the duties, expectations, roles, and responsibilities as leaders of the District Executive Committee, along with information about how we work in relation to one another. Duties that are shared between the board include attending all board meetings and executive committee meetings. Along with this, in order to run for any position, you must be a dues-paid Key Club member, strive at all times to strengthen and build membership in the district, and maintain the quality of schoolwork and keep up to date on any other personal obligations. I will now let District Editor Rachel Haugen tell you more about the position of District Editor.
Hello, my name is Rachel Haugen, and I'm your current District Editor. The responsibilities of District Editor include managing the design of promotional materials for committees, such as the Call to Convention video, the toolkits, and the Help End Hunger video you should have seen, as well as district-level events, such as Key Club Days and DCON promotional material. Additionally, the editor is the primary owner of the social media accounts. I've been utilizing our district Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube to announce important information on district updates to club members and to recognize extraordinary individuals and clubs. As editor, it is your duty to explore new editing and design techniques to further enhance the quality of promotional materials by using visuals to aid the communications between district and club levels. Additionally, if you don't have any graphic design experience, don't worry. You have plenty of resources to use, and by taking initiative in going out and self-teaching, I promise you will learn all the relevant programs and tools, such as Photoshop, Illustrator, and Premiere Pro, to successfully complete responsibilities as district editor. As your immediate past district editor, I will always be there to help you when you need it. As editor, your role in the district is to communicate information from district to club and to ensure these communications are timely, well-written, free of mistakes, and follow the Key Club graphic standards. These communications take a variety of forms, the first being our district publication, The Espresso. Every year, it has been published both online and in print, and articles are written by district board and club members and designed by myself. At the beginning of your term, you will set a publishing schedule and create article request emails for writers and photographers to be included in various issues. You also choose when you want to publish your 4 issues throughout your term to an extent. You should have 1 each season. Communications also extend to the lieutenant governors, who create monthly divisional newsletters. It is the editor's job to oversee the timeliness and quality of these newsletters, making sure that they're turned in by the 10th of each month. During my term, I have provided personalized feedback emails and provided next month's newsletter required sections. In my individual feedback email, depending on the quality of the newsletter, I will write in further detail about the content I enjoyed and the areas for improvement. It is also the editor's job to teach the incoming lieutenant governors how to make newsletters and how to use the software associated with sending newsletters out correctly each month, such as using MailChimp and Google Groups. On occasion, I will provide feedback to club editors and assist them when they reach out. During DCON, the district editor will lead the newsletter/editor workshop. Some skills required for district editor are as follows. First, and most importantly, is to be dynamic. You must be flexible enough to change plans on a dime when needed. Throughout my term, I've been asked to make many adjustments or changes to graphics even a few hours before I post, which requires lots of flexibility. By being dynamic, I learned in this position, you have to learn to compromise and work with other people's schedules, but at the same time prioritize your own to accomplish every task. Secondly, the willingness to learn. As I mentioned earlier, it's okay if you don't have a lot of experience with graphic designing, but be prepared to put in lots of extra time and effort to research and discover new mediums of design and your style to be able to create all of the necessary graphics and materials. A general skill that is important in a workplace environment is communication. Giving feedback to lieutenant governors, communicating to club editors, and working on the executive committee all require effective communication. Effective communication sometimes can be challenging, but necessary when you need to provide constructive criticism to your peers when something isn't right and can be improved. Another important skill is timeliness. To truly produce high-quality work, such as the Espresso publications, you need to be able to manage and prioritize commitments to utilize your time the most efficiently. Each Espresso will take time in sending out request emails, compiling articles, testing out layouts, designing the cover, and etc. It sounds overwhelming, but in order to achieve everything in an orderly fashion, you need to set deadlines and strictly follow them. Organization is also very helpful in this case. In the beginning of my term, I was quickly overwhelmed with all of the emails I was receiving, but it's vital to have a system of organization that works for you to keep track of all these emails and what you need to do or reply to. Having an organization system of when you're going to approach a task and how you will solve the task is key to organizational success.
Thanks, Rachel. As I said earlier, my name is Haley Smith, and I'm serving as your current district treasurer, as well as your Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund Committee chair. As district treasurer, you will be responsible for managing and distributing financial information regarding the Pacific Northwest District, ranging from the member level all the way to the district funding. Your duties will also involve providing members with assistance when it comes to club and divisional fundraising. As treasurer, your role includes promoting membership growth and club charting through dues payment. As treasurer, you're a primary reporter of the district's financial and dues information. Your goal is to obtain a 95% dues collection rate from the clubs in the PNW district. In order to do so, you'll be responsible for providing regular updates on the district's dues status to the district board. You also maintain contact with clubs that do not pay their dues by the annual dues deadline to ensure that any issues they may have are resolved. Additionally, you will work closely with the district committees, primarily the Membership Growth and Reactivation Committee, or MGRC, to encourage membership growth and retention through resources designed to assist with increasing membership and timely submission of dues. You are also responsible for monitoring district finances by collecting and processing Lieutenant Governor expense vouchers for reimbursements, and working closely with the District Finance Administrator, Mike Wallace, to do so. You must also provide regular updates to the district board on their expenditure and financial status. Additionally, you must also train and support club treasurers. This will be done through emails, newsletters, and you can provide club treasurers with helpful resources and district updates. You can also utilize presentations, social media posts, and district publications to share important information with club treasurers. You're also responsible for leading the Treasurer Workshop at DCON 2023, where you will train incoming club treasurers for that upcoming year. As mentioned earlier, you are responsible for providing consistent updates to vacant divisions, which are divisions without a lieutenant governor if you are assigned to one. As mentioned previously, you must provide timely updates to the district board every month. This will be done in the form of monthly executive newsletters, where you will provide the district board with financial and dues information, as well as updates on the Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund. You must also curate a monthly membership and financial report, which will obtain the month's up-to-date dues collection and reimbursement information. As treasurer, you will submit at least 2 articles for each edition of the district publication, The Espresso. One article will be an executive update, and the other will either be a separate treasurer update or an article for the Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund Committee. One of your most important duties as district treasurer is serving as the chair of the Pacific Northwest Opportunities Fund, or the PNWOF Committee, our district grant. As a committee chair, you are responsible for ensuring that the PNWOF application is ready to be released on September 1st and promote the PNWOF through social media and other resources through the application period. You also must begin the application evaluation process promptly after the application closes on October 31st. And work with your committee to determine the projects you choose to fund and ensure the recipients of the grant are notified by the end of November. After the application period, you will continue to work with your committee to create reports and resources for the PINWAF. You will also actively serve as an executive liaison to any other committees as assigned. In order to serve as an efficient and strong district treasurer, there are some skills that are important that you must have. Firstly, organization has a vital role in that of the district treasurer. You will be tasked with many duties that involve organizing numbers and other information in order to present them to the district board and members. So it is important that you know how to organize and manage such information beforehand. Planning is also an important part of organizing that will assist you in keeping track of your goals and duties throughout the year. This will help you more effectively fulfill your role and respond to unexpected problems or challenges that may encounter during the year. The service year goes quickly, so effective time management will help you reach your goals as a treasurer. Because September is not only the start of due season, but also when the PINWAF application opens. Knowing how to effectively plan and allocate your time will ensure that you are not overwhelmed or not producing quality work. You're also tasked with sending out multiple monthly updates, so being able to plan out tasks while you serve in your role. As treasurer, you will constantly be working with other people, whether that be the executive committee, the district board, the PINWAF committee, or other club members. Communication is vital to this role to ensure that you are able to resolve conflict, listen to others, make compromises, and ultimately be a strong leader. You must be willing to be assertive, have problem-solving skills, and have strong listening skills, and be able to take input and feedback. Innovation within your position will create new opportunities for growth as a treasurer. When developing new resources, sharing fundraising ideas, or coming up with promotion methods, critical thinking will assist you in being innovative and thinking outside of the box. It will also assist you with problem solving, as you will be able to approach situations with an objective standpoint. With that being said, we will now move on to the responsibilities of the district secretary, led by Allison King.
Hi everyone, my name is Allison King and I currently serve as your district secretary. As district secretary, you are the chief communicator of the district and serve as the only executive committee member that maintains consistent communication with all clubs throughout the district. As secretary, you're given the opportunity to get to know the district and the people within it from a brand new standpoint. It's important to understand the importance of this role and how it influences others. As district secretary, your specific duties include recording and maintaining official meeting minutes at all required board meetings, which are to be published within 15 minutes of the meeting. If you're unfamiliar with what the district board meeting minutes are, please refer to the PNW Key Club website. Additionally, you are the primary support mechanism for all club secretaries. That means you will train club secretaries at district convention, release various resources to support them during their terms, as well as collect, read, and respond to monthly secretary reports. Your relationship with club secretaries is what makes the position of secretary unique, and thus you serve as the direct link between the district and the club levels. You will also need to develop and publish the district directory, which contains contact information of all club officers in the district by August 31st, as well as periodically release updated versions of the directory throughout your term. Like the rest of the executive officers, you'll be responsible for creating monthly newsletters, as well as contributing to the quarterly district publication, The Espresso. Next slide, please. You will administer the district's Google Groups, updating each officer group regularly, and oversee the use of each group by committee chairs, lieutenant governors, and executive committee members. Promotional materials and resources sent through these Google Groups will also be under your responsibility. Additionally, the district secretary is responsible for managing district calendars and organizing event scheduling. You will also be assigned to committees to work with and assist them throughout the year. In addition, you will create an annual report that summarizes the work of each PNW district committee at the end of your term. One other important aspect to keep in mind is that you work closely with the rest of the executive officers, especially with the district governor. You may oversee meetings or fulfill other obligations in absence of the governor. The following 4 skill sets are necessary to successfully fulfill your term as district secretary. Number 1, organization. The role of district secretary is given several projects at once with varying deadlines that must be managed effectively. Additionally, as a center of communication, It's likely that you will have to manage and keep track of several projects, deadlines, and details in order to support the executive committee or district board. Number 2, communication. The role of district secretary is first and foremost a communicative role. Every aspect of this position is based on the ability to effectively communicate. If you're not willing to communicate with new people, large groups, or be open to addressing conflict, this position may not be for you. Number 3, diligence. Throughout your term, you'll find that district secretary will be expected to effectively and independently be able to carry out their own tasks while supporting others. In order to do this successfully, you must be able to diligently complete your task without consistent reminders or need for validation from others. Number 4, flexibility. You'll also find that the district secretary must be willing to accept extra tasks and projects and assist those who are in need of support. Being flexible with this, as well as being assertive enough to gauge your capabilities, is a challenge that you will have to deal with throughout your term. We will now be moving on to the responsibilities of district governor, led by Alice Lee.
Thank you, Allison. As I said at the beginning of this presentation, my name is Alice Lee, and I'm currently serving as your 2021 to 2022 district governor. Without further ado, I'll introduce you to the role of governor. For a brief overview, the district governor ensures the district board members are performing adequate support to clubs, oversees the development of training materials for the district board and club officers, and develops or carries out a strategic plan for the vision of PNW Key Club. The district governor shall serve as the chief executive officer of the district and will preside over all board meetings and Pacific Northwest Key Club and the Pacific Northwest Key Club District Convention. Responsibilities include hosting workshops at Kiwanis DCON, representing the Pacific Northwest District at ICON, and planning Key Club days. In addition, you must host bi-weekly phone calls with the executive committee and weekly phone calls with the district administrator. You will also be responsible for leading the president and vice president training sessions at district convention, in addition to developing training materials for officers and supporting presidents and vice presidents. Additionally, as governor, you will be working closely with the district administrator, Brian Egger, as well as the assistant district administrator, Karina Sakon. In addition to these individuals, you'll be required to maintain good relations with your Kiwanis family counterparts. This includes the district governor and the Circle K district governor. This includes the Kiwanis district governor and the Circle K district governor. Pardon me. At the beginning of your term, it will be your duty to select and appoint standing committees for your term. It is important to note that some committees can change from year to year depending on the needs of the district. However, all committee chairs are selected at the discretion of the governor in consultation with the district administrator. It will also be your job to select and promote a district project. This year, I selected Help End Hunger, as well as implementing the platform you set for the year and furthering the district's long-term strategic plan. As the Chief Executive Officer of the Pacific Northwest, you will also be responsible for collecting and creating a monthly Lieutenant Governor report, in addition to sending your own Governor report to Key Club International. And with Key Club International, you will work closely with the International Trustee to communicate the desires and the needs of the district, as well as represent the PNW district on the International Council. In a typical year, being governor requires you to travel extensively throughout the district. While the pandemic severely limited my travel, you will attend a variety of events at the beginning of your term, throughout the summer, during the year, and even after your term. Please note that in some months, you will be required to travel 2 out of 4 weekends. These trips will include official visits in which you will visit different divisions to assist and train officers, international training conferences, board meetings, and more. Lastly, you will need to push the district to reach its fullest potential. Please keep in mind that you will have the weight of the district on your shoulders. It will be challenging and time-consuming, but I can assure you that it's well worth it in terms of what you learn about yourself and the organization that we all serve. I've communicated the main points of this position, but please keep in mind that there are many other duties and responsibilities that come with serving as the governor. While there is no specific skill set that guarantees success in the position of district governor, there are a few pieces of advice that I want to give to those who are interested in running for this position. Although you may want to accomplish as much as you can during your term, it is important to understand how to prioritize the tasks at hand. You will become stretched too thin between the various responsibilities if you try to complete them all simultaneously, so the ability to prioritize is essential. Additionally, it can be very difficult to complete work during important events such as board meetings and Key Club days, so plan to do most of your work on weekdays. District governors spend a great deal of time sending emails and presenting information to others, so it is necessary that a district governor has a strong command of grammar, vocabulary, and vocal projection. One of the other main responsibilities of the district governor is to provide feedback and address deficiencies that may be impacting the quality of the district board's performance. Lieutenant governors may need help staying on track with their duties, organizing meetings, or solving issues in their division. It's important that the district governor is willing and able to address conflict and confront board members who may not be meeting these expectations. You should be prepared to adapt as an individual, but also adapt materials, resources, and operations to address existing issues within the district board, Kiwanis family, and various parts of the Pacific Northwest. And on that note, you must be able to think analytically to determine how you can best address these issues. This includes looking at cause and effect patterns to make a conclusion about the effectiveness of something currently happening or something you propose. That concludes the duties and skill sets of the governor. I will now let District Treasurer Haley Smith tell you about running for District Executive Office.
So you might be wondering, what are the requirements for running for District Executive Office? Other than being a dues-paid member of the Pacific Northwest Key Club District, there are no other requirements to be eligible to run for a higher office. You are not required to have held office before, including positions at the club level or district level. For those seeking district executive officer positions, I would like to point you to the candidate checklist. This checklist is located on page 6 of the DCON election packet, which can be found on the PNW Key Club website and includes all required forms and dates to be eligible to run. The required paperwork includes the pre-convention orientation meeting registration form, campaign flyer, candidate information sheet, medical form, code of conduct, and service agreement form for the offices of governor, secretary, treasurer, or editor. All of these forms will be completed through Google Forms this year, so please remember to fill them out using the respective links. Additionally, you will need to submit your campaign flyer in PDF format, also via a Google form by February 1st. Remember that to be eligible to run, you must fill out all the required forms by the deadline listed in the election packet. In addition to the required paperwork, candidates are required to attend 2 meetings. The first meeting is the pre-convention orientation meeting, which will be held on Saturday, February 5th, 2022. The second meeting is the candidates meeting, which will be held at DCON 2022 on Friday, March 11th. More information on times, dates, and other requirements can be found in the DCON 2022 election packet. In order to be eligible to run for district executive office, you are also required to produce a candidate campaign flyer. The slide includes an example of a previous campaign flyer from this year's executive committee to show how your campaign flyer could be formatted. For your campaign flyer, you may want to include a short biography including yourself, goals for your term as district officer, experience or skills that may make you suited for the role. You may also consider including any previous experience with Key Club and or Kiwanis family that you may have, and anything else you would like voting delegates and members to know about you. I also suggest using platforms like Canva or Photoshop to create a professional looking flyer. More information about candidate flyer requirements can be found in the election packet. Following the opening session at DCON, you will be able to represent your ideas and qualifications to all DCON attendees in a speech that does not exceed 3 minutes in what is known as a mega caucus. Following your speech, you'll be given 1 minute to answer a standard moderator question that will be determined by the position you're running for. You will then have 4 minutes for a question and answer period with the audience. This concludes Friday's evening session. We also give a formal campaign address for the House of Delegates session on Saturday afternoon of DCON. This speech has a 2-minute time limit and will not be followed with a standard moderator question or audience questioning. After all candidates for position have finished their campaign address, the House of Delegates will cast their votes. The House consists of 2 voting delegates from each club attending DCON. For a winner to be declared for each office, one candidate must receive a majority of votes cast for said office. If no candidate receives a majority of the votes, the top 2 candidates will represent a 1-minute runoff speech, and a second ballot will be cast. Because of this, candidates should prepare 2 speeches for the House of Delegates, a campaign address not to exceed 2 minutes, and 1-minute runoff speech. More rules about speeches and questions can be covered at the pre-convention orientation meeting in February. I will now be moving on to campaign rules when running for office. Remember that there is a $0 campaign policy for all candidates. This means that no campaign materials can be distributed at district convention, including any posters, buttons, or any other promotional material other than the information in the candidate booklet. There's also no pre-convention campaigning permitted by use of the internet or other electronic means, so you may not use social media campaigning or declare your candidacy online. Finally, all candidates are prohibited from utilizing any current district board member in their campaign. For example, your division's lieutenant governor cannot endorse you at a DCM or other divisional event, nor can they help you choose your speech. District board members cannot show favoritism to any candidate. If any of these campaign rules or other board policies are broken by a candidate, they will be subject to disqualification by the PNW Key Club Executive Committee with the approval of the district administrator. Now that we have discussed running for office, I would like to hand it off to Governor Alice, who will present on the structure of the International Board.
Thank you, Haley. I will now introduce you to the structure and the general responsibilities of the international board positions. To run for international office, it is a two-step process. First, you will go through the same process as all other candidates running for executive office to seek endorsement. If endorsed at district convention, you will also need to go through the caucusing and House of Delegates procedures at international convention. Additionally, you will be allowed to campaign after the international candidates packet is released. This year, International Convention will be held in Washington, D.C. from July 6th through 10th, 2022. International has slightly different rules as to how caucusing and House of Delegates is conducted. So if you plan on running, please make sure to read the candidate information on the Key Club website when it is available. The International Board is made up of a president, vice president, and 11 trustees. Each trustee is assigned 3 districts to serve as a liaison from the international to district level. In some ways, they act as lieutenant governors, communicating information from international to the district level as lieutenant governors would from the district to the club level. A maximum of 2 trustee candidates can be endorsed by our district, as well as 1 candidate for president and 1 candidate for vice president. Because our time tonight is limited, please reach out to me directly at governor@pnwkeyclub.org for more information about the roles of international president or vice president. On that note, let's discuss the duties of the international trustee. Excuse me, I have seasonal allergies. As mentioned earlier, the job of the international trustee is to serve as a liaison to at least 2 assigned districts, though typically trustees have 3 assigned districts. International trustees critically assess the strengths and weaknesses of their district so that they can work with other international board members to solve issues within the organization. It is critical that they develop relationships with Kiwanis staff members and administrators to implement their work. One unique part of the role is that their responsibilities are defined by a set of guidelines provided by each assigned district governor and the international president. Trustees must also provide international updates. Our current international trustee, Emily Leonard, sends us emails to keep us informed of what is happening at the international level. However, other forms of communication can also be used. Typically, trustees have monthly calls with their assigned governor to give relevant updates and are expected to attend 1 board meeting and convention of each district assigned. Again, to use Emily as an example, she attended our summer district board meeting, fall district board meeting, and will attend our district convention in March. Trustees work alongside the international board. They serve on an international committee to carry out directives, define the administrative policies of Key Club, and interpret the scope and meaning of bylaws. A pertinent analogy to international trustees is lieutenant governors. The committees are made up of trustees and are chaired by trustees or the international president or vice president, similar to how our district committees are made up of, and some are chaired by lieutenant governors. Many people run for the office of international trustee expecting to make an impact on their districts, but in reality, the international board has very little authority over the districts and mainly works to further the goals of the organization as a whole. Because of that, the first skill a trustee should have is patience. The role of a trustee is defined by directives provided by each assigned district governor. Because of that, the scope of impact that you have in your districts is determined by each governor and not by you individually. Since the main objective of being a trustee is to further the goals of the organization, it is also critical that trustees are able to think analytically. Lastly, communication is another integral part of being an international trustee. Excuse me. Not only should trustees have strong written and oral communication skills, they should also be willing and eager to work with advisors. Without building relationships with their assigned district administrators, Kiwanis International staff and board members, and the Key Club International staff, they will seldom see their work implemented as they intended. We will now be moving on to how to run for international office as presented by District Editor Rachel Haugen.
In terms of running for international office, you will find that most of the processes you will go through is very similar to running for the district executive office. Along with all the information, the forms you will need to complete will be located in the call to convention election packet. Being endorsed means that the PNW district agrees you are qualified to run for international office. When you go to the international convention and go through caucusing in the House of Delegates, you can use your endorsement to your advantage when campaigning. In order to seek endorsement, you must follow a similar process as if you were to run for a district executive office. This includes submitting the appropriate paperwork, which consists of your candidacy flyers and forms by February 1st, 2022. You must also attend the pre-convention orientation meeting and the candidates orientation meeting at DCON. Lastly, you will caucus at DCON and deliver a formal address to the House of Delegates session, just like candidates who are running for a district executive position. After the district convention, if you are endorsed by the district or international trustee Emily Leonard will provide you more information about the role you are seeking to undertake, whether it is international trustee, vice president, or president. She will also ensure that you receive the necessary paperwork in order for you to run for international positions. In terms of campaigning, you will submit your campaign flyer and candidates information sheet for the candidates booklet, which will be distributed to members at international convention. As a point of clarification, you will send your campaign flyer and candidates information on February 1st for our district convention. After the district convention, if you are successfully endorsed, you will also send your campaign flyer and candidates information to Key Club International. You are allowed to make changes to your campaign flyer before you send it to international. It is important to be aware that candidates for international office are responsible for attending the 2022 International Convention in Washington, D.C. in its entirety at their own expense. Pacific Northwest Key Club will not provide financial aid to prospective attendees, but they can review sponsorship options with nearby Kiwanis clubs or local businesses. Questions about international office not covered in this webinar should be directed to District Governor Alice Lee, International Trustee Emily Leonard, or International President Selma LD, and their emails are on the screen.
If you want to run, then go for it. The worst thing that can happen is that you lose. The possibility of rejection and losing may seem incredibly daunting. I know it was for me, but life is going to continue to move forward regardless of the results. In the long run, it's better to take a chance on this amazing opportunity and to lose than to run away from it and regret not taking the opportunity 6 months later. From my own experiences, there is no other high school organization out there that can offer the same number of opportunities as Key Club can. What Key Club grants you isn't only limited to professional development in your leadership. Instead, it offers you the ability to make new connections, take on unfamiliar challenges, and grow as a person. Making the jump to an executive position may seem scary, especially if you're coming from the club level. I think now is a good time to point out that Rachel and I both directly came from the club level, and Alice was sophomore class rep before becoming district secretary and then eventually governor. Being an exec is more about the quality of your work that you're willing to put forward, the passion that you have for Key Club, and your willingness to contribute and grow for the organization, not about the experience that's on your resume. There will undoubtedly be times both before and during your term where you will question your capabilities and your qualifications, but your ambition and your passion is there for a reason. These moments of hesitation and uncomfort are what prompts growth, and so don't let your fears hold you back from taking this next step.
Thank you, Allison. We will now take this time to answer any questions that you may have about the offices of Lieutenant Governor, District Editor, District Treasurer, District Secretary, or Governor. Please leave your questions in the chat and I will go ahead and answer them. Yes, Jace, feel free to ask your question.
Hello. So first of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Great. Can you use something other than MailChimp or Google Groups to make the newsletters, like Canva?
All of our newsletters are created using MailChimp and sent out through the Google Groups. However, the graphics are created using Canva or other graphic design softwares.
Okay, thank you.
What's the most common quote unquote mistake that you see in people's campaign? That's an interesting question, Kyle. I wouldn't say that there's necessarily mistakes in people's campaigns, rather personal weaknesses. I think as long as you are prepared and you are and you believe in yourself, mistakes are not something that really happen. Are there any other questions? What happens at Kiwanis Council meetings? I'm assuming you are talking about Kiwanis meetings that lieutenant governors are required to attend. Kiwanis meetings are often very, very similar to Key Club meetings. It is still a service-based organization. There's still adults. Usually what lieutenant governors will do, is that they will conduct their Kiwanis Club visits very similarly to how they conduct their Key Club visits. They will present a small presentation on what their division has been doing, what opportunities Kiwanis and Kiwanians can take to get more involved with Key Club, et cetera, et cetera. What is the best thing we could start doing now to prepare to running for higher office? If you're interested in running for a position other than lieutenant governor, then it would be important for you to start making arrangements to attend district convention, and also to read through the candidates packet and the election packet thoroughly. Even if you are running for lieutenant governor, I would say the only difference there is that you should reach out to your lieutenant governor to make sure that you have all of the information about the upcoming election, including the time, place, and venue. And doing what you personally would do to prepare, as in writing your speech, creating your candidate's flyer if you're running for an executive office, and making sure that you are well prepared to run for the position. Jace, it looks like you have another question. Would you like to unmute?
Yes, so I was wondering, like, what are some good vocabulary words for my speech?
There's some good vocabulary words. Wow, I'm getting a lot of really specific questions about campaigning this year. I don't think that's really the type of question that I can answer. I would say if there is any good buzzwords, it would probably have to do with your commitment to Key Club or your experience with Key Club. And that's about as far as I can go to answer your question. Yang Ji asks, what is one advice you can give as a current officer? And I would definitely have to say, get comfortable with making and fixing mistakes, I think. And get comfortable with having to address those mistakes. I think as the further you move up in leadership and the more you have to work with other people and the more you have to work with adults, you have to go ahead and take feedback and be able to process it well, and be able to be flexible and open to learning and growing with that type of feedback. And so I'd have to say, being open-minded to that kind of stuff and being open-minded to learning how to fix and address and face your own mistakes is very, very important, especially when serving as an executive officer or lieutenant governor. What is the average time commitment for LTGs? This really varies over time. You'll see that in busier weeks when we have lots of committee work or when we have board meetings, clearly the hour count will be different just because you are spending the entire weekend there. Anywhere from 8 to 10 hours is a pretty average time commitment for lieutenant governors. It can be as high as 15 sometimes. Just keep in mind that you will have to be attending your committee meetings, doing committee work, hosting PCMs and stuff. So I would say anywhere from 8 to 15 hours. For the other executive office positions, this is more like 15 to 20. If you're the governor, sometimes as much as 30. And it really, really depends on the week, but it is a pretty large commitment. An anonymous question. How much time should you give yourself with the whole election process, creating speeches, etc.? This varies for everyone, so I don't know if I can really answer this question. As much time as you need would be my answer. I know you probably hate that answer. It's a bad answer, but as much time as you need. Are there any other questions? Is the pre-candidates meeting mandatory? Yes, the pre-convention orientation meeting, which takes place in February, is mandatory for all candidates for executive office or international endorsement. Please feel free to leave me any questions that you may have in the chat. How do we travel to board meetings? Area administrators will carpool people in that area to board meetings. And so, for example, Rachel Haugen, who's from 1936, will travel with other lieutenant governors from 1936 or that area. Usually all of our Portland LTGs and Portland execs travel together to board meetings. And if it is an event that only execs attend, then we arrange our own travel with the adults involved. How do you guys balance other commitments along with being an officer? I will go ahead and let the other execs talk about that first. Maybe we can start with Allison, just because she is super busy.
Yeah, this question made me laugh because I was just thinking about this earlier. I was like, I'm about halfway into my term, and I think especially as in-person school has started and my other extracurriculars have started to pick up, I'm definitely having a really hard time trying to balance all of the activities. And I think that the most important piece of advice is just to be honest with yourself about what you can and can't accomplish. I personally, I think the more time that I spend trying to juggle a lot of extracurriculars, I realized that it's not worth it to stress yourself out to that extent, you know, or to, I guess, put so much pressure on yourself to be this perfect, you know, student or extracurricular person. I don't know. And I think that because if you take on too many responsibilities, then I think the quality of your work in each extracurricular starts to decrease. And for me, that's not something that's worth it for me. And so I think that, you know, before taking on this position, whether it be lieutenant governor or district or executive office or whatever, I think just being honest with yourself and asking, you know, can I handle this with this other extracurriculars? And then also asking yourself, you know, am I going to make Key Club a big enough priority? And then I guess addressing sorting out your priorities there, because none of these higher office positions, I guess, allow for someone who isn't going to make Key Club your number one priority to be successful at it, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, that would be my kind of general advice if someone else wants to take over.
Haley?
Yeah, so kind of like what Allison was saying, kind of making sure that Key Club is your main priority. I know that's what I had to do. And when the school year started, I kind of had to talk with my coaches, and I told them, like, I love your program, but Key Club really is what I'm super passionate about, and it's what makes me happiest. And I have to balance my time according to that. And luckily for me, a lot of my coaches and other extracurricular advisors were really understanding, because they can tell how much I admire Key Club and how much I love it. So you just have to make sure that Key Club is what you love, and that's what you love doing, and it brings you happiness.
Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, off of what they're saying is just see what really has value to you and what you're willing to put the time in extra, because Key Club has to come first. And so seeing what you have time for beyond that, and just don't overdo it and really think about what is worth it, and make sure to stay organized and have a calendar or planner or something where you have all your different things you have going on, and make sure you leave enough time with like a to-do list that you have to do with your exec committee stuff, and make sure you allot enough time to get that stuff done and really balance out your schedule and prioritize Key Club.
Yeah, and also just a quick addition. I think also being able to admit to people when you're really stressed out or overwhelmed, and also being a good communicator with, the people in your life is really important. For example, there are times where I've had to miss dance competitions, and because of district board meetings or exec board meetings, and I think that I'm able to balance so many extracurriculars because I'm able to admit, to, Alice, or to Brian, our district administrator, or to my coach, or to my teachers, like, hey, I'm really stressed out. I had this thing going on, and being able to, I guess, communicate effectively about what's going on with your life, I think is a really important skill to have, not only in Key Club and extracurriculars, but overall in life.
Very similarly, I would have to say for me, time management is very closely interconnected with my own knowledge of myself. And also it's very interconnected with self-awareness and also learning how to let go of some of your pride. I'm the type of ambitious person, and I'm sure lots of you guys are too, that like to do a little bit of everything all of the time. And so before I served my term as district secretary, I was involved in musical programs. I was involved in sports. I was involved in several other extracurriculars, but I knew to myself that Key Club was something that I wanted to spend all my time on, because Key Club was what I enjoyed the most and provided me the same opportunities that I would get from other areas at the same time. And so it was very easy for me to prioritize Key Club just because I loved it so much. And so I think being able to throw away some of your pride and to be able to address the reality that you will have to sacrifice, weekends out with friends, or I had to drop speech and debate entirely this year. I do not compete anymore just because the weekends interfere with my schedule at board meetings and such. Having the strength to pick and choose what your priorities are, I think is the most important when it comes to balancing other commitments along with being an officer. For lieutenant governors, this is a lot less severe, I think, than executive committee members, just because, and a lot less severe than being governor, just because there's a lot less travel and meetings involved. But I think it is still the same deal. You will have to sacrifice perhaps some work hours or some time that you can spend with friends, and you have to be willing to put certain things first and be able to talk to the people around you about what it takes to put these things first. If you are afraid to address those kinds of conflicts, or if you aren't confrontational enough to make those compromises with the people around you, or if you don't have the support of the people around you, then it may be a position that is difficult to pursue for you. Are there any other questions just before we wrap things up? I don't know if I should be glad that there aren't many questions or if I should be worried. If any of you guys have more questions later on, if they pop up in your mind, please feel free to reach out to me at governor@pnwkeyclub.org for any questions about governor, international office, or lieutenant governor. Please feel free to reach out to secretary@pnwkeyclub.org for questions about the position of secretary, at treasurer@pnwkeyclub.org for the position of treasurer, and editor@pnwkeyclub.org for the position of editor. This slideshow will not be sent out to clubs, but this recording will be posted to the PNW Key Club YouTube page, so please keep your eye out for that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at our emails. Thank you guys so much for coming, and I'm really excited to see all of the good work that you will do for Key Club in the future.